Welcome to another Coffee with Samso, where we speak with ASX companies or ASX related companies. Today I've got Matt Boyles here with me from TNT Mines, and we're here at the University Club here in Crawley. Matt will be just giving us a sort of a journey of what TNT Mines is about and what they're going to do. So Matt, off to you.
Yeah, good morning, Samso. Thanks for having me in. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, TNT Mines. Joined TNT last year in about July, August of last year. TNT is a junior gold miner, explorer. We've had our main two assets are based in Western Australia, which is focusing on developing and exploring the Eureka gold mine, which is an asset that sits approximately 50 kilometres north of Kalgoorlie. It was an asset that we brought in from a company called Eureka last year in around July. And our second group of assets is up at a place called Warriedar, which is about 40 kilometres northwest of Paynes Find. We've been drilling pretty much consistently since we completed the raise in November of last year. The company TNT took over Warriedar, which was a private entity, and in doing so raised around $4 million together with the $2 million that we already had in the bank. We've been putting that money to work predominantly by drilling at the Eureka asset, and more recently at Reed's Ridge.
Okay, with the Eureka, obviously, it's a historical mine, had production. I can see from your presentation, and that how optimistic, or what would you guys see as the upside with Eureka? Obviously, it's an old mine. Obviously, there's going to be something left below. Yeah, better gold price.
The objective of the Eureka was also always to expand on what was there. There was a resource of about 40,000 ounces in ground when we bought the asset, and we thought and we still think that there is potential to expand that, given that the mine was basically closed in 1993. So with the prevailing gold price that we have today, the asset has a better opportunity to work if we add our target is initially 100,000 ounces on the existing asset. So we've been focusing on expanding the resource, which sits below, to the north and to the south of the existing pit, and also on some what we're calling regional targets, but it's not regional. We don't have a massive land package there, but there are gold occurrences, historic gold occurrences, sort of 600 metres to north of the existing pit, and also there are both geophysical and geochemical anomalies leading away from the pit on a northeasterly trend and a northwesterly trend. And we've been putting quite a bit of effort into pinning those down and trying to evaluate what's there over the last 6 months. We started drilling in November of last year. We put in 11,500 metres into the ground. Yeah, quite a bit. There was 4 main target areas. One was the south of the existing pit, below. So we were looking at whether there was extension of the high-grade mineralisation, which it's been interpreted to have a northeasterly plunge to it. We drilled off sections of that below the existing pit floor and to the north, and then extension of the mineralisation to the northeast, which was that geophysical and structural target that we had. And also there was a high-grade area, we call it the high-grade area, to the northwest, where there was what looks like to be a repetition of the same sort of style mineralisation that's in the pit, and we've put approximately 2,500 metres into that, with some good results. So we're drilling there at the moment. Now we had a rig back there since early last week. We have another 4,000 metres going into Eureka now, and doing that in conjunction with a resource update. So hopefully we'll have some news for the market in relation to what we think is going to be the updated resource in the near future.
You're a geo, and you've obviously been working for a long time, and you've seen a lot of scenarios, as we most have, ups and downs. I mean, 90s 90s gold price, 90s sentiment, as opposed to 2021 sentiment and gold price. For a project like Eureka, it's like someone averaging down when they bought something at $10 at $5. It's more significant than averaging down at $9, right? You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, from your opinion and from what you've spoken to people, how significant is that? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, another old project, another old story." But I feel that people are missing the point that there is a significant shift in where things were as compared to now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I worked through that period in the 90s, and so things now are significantly different. From a lot of different viewpoints, they are different, because although now that we're seeing a lot of money going back into the industry and it's actually producing discoveries, things like the De Greys and the Lefroys and Bellevues and Great Lands, those sort of things. It also gives the juniors chance to also refocus on the smaller assets. And because in Western Australia, things have been picked over fairly well. These assets have somewhat been recycled now, but it's good to give them another chance, because now with that gold price where it is, it gives you the chance to put these things through and produce from them, whereas before it was difficult. I think now people are re-looking at smaller assets, because the larger ones, there aren't a lot of them around anymore. Or not a lot of new discoveries, so we've got to replace those reserve ounces that are being mined. And being able to do that with $2,300 an ounce gold is a bonus. I think, getting back to your question, I think the sentiment has definitely changed towards looking at small assets. When you looked at them before, you think 100,000 ounces north of Kalgoorlie wouldn't have a lot of value or potential value creation, but it does. It has an awful amount of it now. When you think about the costs in WA and Western Australia, I underestimate, I've been away for a long time, but you come back to Western Australia and underestimate how efficient the industry is overall with relation to other countries. And a safe jurisdiction is worth a lot. Safe jurisdiction and good infrastructure are two things that add a lot of value to an asset. I mean, 500,000 ounces in Argentina, for example, would be worth a lot less than 100,000 ounces here, just because of those different aspects. So I think you got 100,000 ounces in Western Australia, good grade material, close to existing infrastructure. You can't go wrong. I mean, it's definitely a valuable asset, and people are looking for soft dirt. So.
And a lot of people forget that when you've got in the 90s, $1 million or $2 million in the back in your bank balance, and you're trying to make this thing work or a project work, you're not as bold as if like today you've got 4 or 5 million in your bank, and your decision making is you could take more time with it and more fat, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah, I guess so. I think fair point. I think at a moment also that people are looking for results to be quicker now. So if you've got a couple of million in the bank now, they're expecting you to use that. There has been from the last time we had the boom, and whenever it was, 2005, 7, there or thereabouts, there was a lot of money that wasn't, I guess you didn't get the feeling that it was all going into the ground. There was, but now I think it is. For example, there's been a lot more focus on getting that money into drilling, getting that money into resource evaluation, and growing a company and growing a resource base. Whereas before, you didn't seem to get the feeling it was. But also now with the way that the market is, there's a lot of support from the from the money in town for the mining industry and for exploration, and I think it's a good time to be back in gold in Western Australia. There's a lot of positiveness about it. You can feel the industry it's busy. Things are very busy at the moment. So how long it lasts, we'll see. But at the moment, things are looking good.
I mean, in some ways too. Do you get the feeling? Obviously, you talk to the brokers and all the sort of the money side of the game, that we are getting more rewarded with the results that you're saying, that people are expecting these things out. Whereas I remember, 2007, 2008, people would put out decent results and the market would just almost didn't even see it kind of thing. Whereas now everything's sort of like on the go.
I think people are looking for results now. People are looking for places to put their money. So, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you do have a good hole, a good result now, you look at the junior sector, and you can pick any number of them from good numbers. They're getting rewarded for that. So, you know, if we're able to replicate some of those numbers other people are getting, then we expect that we'll get the reward as well. So, yeah, I think so. And you look at, there's any number of them. You can pull out a hat like the Lefroy's or Great Boulders. Recently, last week, they put out some great numbers and they're up 100%. You even look at the lead zinc sector. Things like Rumble, they've had a nice discovery, and they're definitely getting some traction in the market for things like that. So, yeah, it's good.
And your Warriedar stuff, I mean, I like that region there because, you know, Golden Grove, I'm myself a zinc guy and VMS things, and people who've watched Coffee with Samso would know that, you know, I'm sort of very up on that kind of stuff, and Warriedar's got that history, right?
Yeah, it was mostly, I think they've explored the assets that we have. We've got a package of 6 tenements up there. It's about 50 square Ks. Predominantly, they've been explored for iron ore and gold. Not from what I know, there hasn't been a lot of zinc or lead zinc exploration up there. The old Warriedar mine is a classic old sort of shear-hosted, small tonnage, high-grade gold mine. There is some copper in it. It's sitting on a large northeast southwest trending fault which cuts through the banded iron formations up there. And there's 2 or 3 occurrences. There's 2 mines on the fault structure itself, directly on the fault structure. One is the Reeds Ridge mine, which we've been recently exploring under. There was a release out 3 or 4 weeks ago now, updating the market on the drilling there. And then there's the old Commodore mine, which is a narrow vein sort of gold in quartz, the classic sort of stuff you find around the Yilgarn, and in this case, we're in the Murchison, Western Australia. And we've had our first drill program there, and was predominantly aiming at testing the down dip extension and the long strike extension from the existing mine. The targeting along that structure is difficult because of the width of it. You really need a lot of drilling per kilometre of strike to basically be able to delineate something. So we thought we'd start where we had a known resource. It was about 14,000 ounces on it. It's produced around about the same amount. So we thought we'd start there, and we're currently waiting for assays from that first lot of drilling, like everybody else.
Like, yeah. I hear it's an 8-week turnaround now.
Yeah, we were about 8 weeks from Eureka, and it was a pity because we ended up losing the rig. So we had the rig for which we wanted to use the same group over at Reeds Ridge, but we lost it pretty much a week. We couldn't hang on to it basically. Pretty much a week before we moved over, and so but we've been lucky to be able to secure rigs thereafter. So we've got now a group drilling for us at Eureka doing well, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that rig for the next 2 months, and potentially follow up if we do get our results in time from Reeds to go back and follow up drilling in Reeds Ridge. And the idea is to do that, and also then update a resource for the Reeds Ridge mine, and then we just keep moving forward.
Because where Warriedar is, that's areas you got Deflector down the road, and then you got the Minja guys over there.
Minja are all around us.
Yeah, so it's a good cooking pot anyway.
Yeah, I like the ground up there. I think it's an area that requires a lot more attention. You know, we haven't been able to get in there as quickly as we thought or would like to, because of the process and getting access granted for the POWs. But we're there now, and we have those permits in hand, so we can continue to explore. But the thing is that we really do need access to our results. So we're at the moment a little bit hamstrung by that. But I would imagine we'll be back at Reeds Ridge before the end of the year, with follow-up drilling.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what we discussed before, about how there's more money in the air and there's more sentiment.
Yeah.
I just feel that it's actually created an atmosphere where people tend to go out and do more exploration. I mean, Lefroy is a good example where they've just been out there, and I love that story.
Yeah.
And there's a discovery at the end of that, right?
Oh yeah.
And same as Rumble, as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're seeing money going to the ground, like I said before. So I think it's the industry at the moment is going in the right direction. So as long as we can get people, which is a bit of a challenge, then I think we'll be fine. I think we'll see more discoveries come out of this particular period. This however long it lasts, you're going to see significant amount of ounces added to the inventory in Western Australia.
So obviously you guys have, it looks like you've fairly focused or very focused on Eureka with the amount of meters that you're drilling and things like that. And what could be sort of the plan A, B, and C's for TNT down the road?
Look, I think plan A at the moment is definitely finish off Eureka, get it to the point where we're happy that we've tested everything, that we've evaluated the asset, and that it's in a position to be able where we can actually make a decision on what we do with it. Two roads we could go down, and one is mine it ourselves or a sale. But we'd like, and this is getting to plan B. Our plan B at the moment, and I think is always based on the background of the directors who have set the company up, the guys that come out of Spectrum. They're always looking to expand the portfolio of projects we have, and that is currently what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're looking at any sort of available assets that are there, doing our evaluations and trying to push those forward as well. I mean, that's the end game, is to grow. The end game for us is to get a mining company up and running. Mm-hmm. So to grow our resource bases and get on quality assets in Western Australia focused on gold, whether we can then start to produce a cash flow from them. Mm. So I mean, the idea is to keep evaluating whatever comes across the table. It's incredible, there are still assets there and available, and some of them are good. So that is basically pretty much the end game for us. And with the assets that we currently have overseas, like the uranium asset, we're still moving those forward slowly. But with the current situation, travel, the difficulties we're having actually getting over there, they've sort of been put slightly onto the back burner because it's not logistically not possible. So once things get a little bit better with regards to that, then we'll advance those. But I think the focus is Western Australia, Western Australian gold. It's been the focus of the directors for the last 20 years, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And I enjoy it as well.
I mean, one of the things I've been sort of sharing with the guys on Coffee with Samso and Rooster Talks and the Samso Insights is that the key things that I always try and say that you should look for is management and technical, and how they work together, right? Yeah. Are you able to share with us, because obviously the guys in Spectrum, a lot of people may not sort of have clicked, where Spectrum was. Can you share us who the directors are and
Yeah, it was. I was only back in Australia sort of a month, and so I've sort of missed 25 years of what's happened. But the ex-directors were guys like Mr. Alex Hewlett and James Crozer, and those guys put together. I think it was called the Penny West, Penny North project, north of Paynes Fine, northeast of Paynes Fine, and they were very successful in picking up an old asset that didn't have a lot, didn't show that there was a lot there with regards to a resource base, and they put the money into the ground, and they had excellent luck and with securing or proving up a 300,000 ounces at 15 grams or something. I'm not sure the numbers. I didn't have a lot into it, but and that asset was then, the company was then obviously purchased by Ramelius. So trying to replicate that sort of model is also something that we'd like to do. But they've had a history of picking up different assets in Western Australia and adding value along the way. So that's the model, and that's what we hope that we can replicate with TNT.
So what's your market cap at the moment?
Oh, we're about 16 and a half million.
Yeah.
About bounces around about 17 cents. We reached 36 cents earlier on in the year.
Yep.
Once the acquisition of Warriedar was completed, and so now we're sitting about 17.
I think I was just trying to give you guys sort of an idea that these guys have done this before, and I can see sort of the footsteps that they're trying to do to replicate Spectrum. Spectrum was a spectacular success. I think it was a very short time frame too. Went from the point.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the time.
Yeah,
I wasn't involved with it, but it was almost. I think it was somewhere around about 18 months, 12 to 18 months was what they had.
So, I mean, we've touched on a fair bit of stuff, I guess, so going forward, what could the news flows be?
Short term, I think the key milestones will be completing a resource upgrade for Eureka, and obviously drilling out of Reeds Ridge, and then we'll be drilling results out of Eureka, which is our second phase of drilling, and that'll have a consequent resource upgrade as well. And hopefully we'll have something to report with regards to acquisitions. That's not a cert, but that's what we're looking at doing. So
everyone thinks have marked that down.
Well, hopefully we are. So and that's pretty much where we're going for the next 6 months. I think, and we've got 2 million in cash still in the bank, and we'll put as much of that as we can into drilling. So we have low overheads in the company. There's only 4 employees. Full-time employees. We're lucky to have secured 2 geologists, and hopefully securing another one now. That's been the hardest part, especially initially, was getting people. And rigs. But we've got
I think
those 2 things at the moment.
I think our industries, we've always had this up and downs, and I do feel that this time round, I think because of the restrictions and everything else, I think this has a lot of legs left in it, or it's taking a breather. And now it's going for the next sort of.
I think there's still enough. I think there's still enough expenditure out there to do. To keep us going for another couple of years.
I think also company with projects like Eureka, it's sometimes people see it as a plus or minus, but if gold price is at 2,300 Aussie at the moment and it does move north, I think all the dynamics changes. In terms of a project like this where you're obviously spending a bit of money in there, so obviously intention is there, and preparations, 9/10 of effort, right? And who knows where this gold price is going to head? But most people say it's more likely north than south, obviously.
I hope they're right. Yeah. See what happens.
But anyway, look, thank you for your time. Really
pleasure,
appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah.
I love this kind of stories where it's it sounds really sort of bland, but it's got that little kicks in there. If you dig in deeper, you can see where things are.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some more positive news in the very short time very short term to update the market with, and we'll see where we go from there.
All right, guys. Look, again, I ask you guys to reach out to TNT and ask some questions, because you've got the direct feed there, and I'm sure answers will be coming if questions are asked.
Absolutely. More than happy to answer any more of these queries. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Cheers.